first stock we're going to be looking at today is ALGN, which is Align Technology. Off of earnings, obviously, as we could see, they completely died off. What kind of move was it? Let's see, 253 to low of 176. That's so wild. So we've obviously came back up, started to create more higher lows. We're obviously on a trend here, and we're within this really tight range of this 213 and this 225. Kind of just like Tesla, this is trading within a very, very huge range that is obviously going to break either way. Now, with that being said, I do see some rejections if we do get back up to this level and then fail to break over, right? I mean, this 225.22 has proven to be one of the more difficult areas for us to break, along with exactly where we closed, basically around this 220 level. So yeah, I mean, just a simple break over this 222.30 to take us to this 225.22. And then from there, we could look at an HTF, a higher time frame, and see exactly where we could go from after that, right? So again, this 225.22 makes sense as to why it was a resistance, right? It was once support right here, turned to resistance, and then a break back above. This is not only a big resistance level, but a level that I would also consider our point of confidence. So that point of confidence being that break to the upside that we saw here, or the rejection that we saw to the downside right here, right? So yeah, this is going to be one of, yeah, I mean, and then you look back at even, you know, more data on a higher time frame, and you see that through this level we died, bounced all the way through though, right? I mean, we bounced all the way through here as well. You know, we held here in order to continue up, we bounced here in order to continue up, etc. So coming back down through this level is just a trigger for it to, you know, get shorted to the downside. So that 225.22 again is going to be one of the main levels that I look for. I think a 1 hour break over that would give us this 227.57 area. So let me actually mark that 227.57 there. So over that, what do I see? I believe we could then test this 230 level. So from this 225 break, we should be seeing 230 first, and then I believe this 232.60 level. So after that break, I do want to see, I would love to see, I mean, I guess here, 238.20. This thing has some pretty good moves, right? I mean, even 234 actually. Let's look at 234 first. Right there, 234.46, and then we potentially see this 237 into this 238.43. 238.43 is probably where I take the majority of my profits if I did end up taking a trade on this. So that's just me, but that would be my full like take profit area. And who knows, we may even come back up and retest this 263 at some specific point, right? You see there's a ton of liquidity here, and that fall through that liquidity is what inevitably made us test that 225 level in order for us to continue to the downside. So I'm just going to be strictly playing it off the fibs. If I do decide to swing it, it all depends off of the 1 hour chart. But I would take probably around 3 months out just to see this full move play out. And, you know, you have time if it does play out way before that. So that's kind of what I'm looking for on ALGN. Tesla, of course, Mr. Elon Musk himself, going out of his way to make one of the biggest companies to ever exist and revolutionize the way in which we travel, right? So back in, what was this? July, we ended up hitting a all-time high, right? I believe, I don't know if this was actually an all-time high. Yeah, we definitely did not hit an all-time high, but we ended up coming up and making a new high, right? From our very, very big lows down here in the beginning of the year. So currently we are retesting this downtrend that it had created. We've been trading within a very tight range for the past 18 days. I think it's like a 4% range, mainly 235 to 245. But nonetheless, I mean, this thing looks ready to explode. Now, to either side, this is going to be a very violent move. Going into the end of the year, being bullish, I do think that we end up getting this break, and it just completely goes nuts, right? An 18-day range for this stock is, relatively unheard of. You know what I mean? I mean, we have, Friday, September 29th to Wednesday. You know what I mean? We don't have any types of big consolidation moves like this all the time, especially when it comes to a mega cap or a large cap like Tesla. So I'm betting on the upside. A break over 244.48. Honestly, actually, I would love to see a break above 246.90. That's going to be my trigger to long calls into the end of the year, early January. Is this 246.90? This breaks. I would love to see 247.51. 250, I would love to see break above 250. This 250, 245. Above that, I would love to see this 257.62. Then 260, then 262. Above 262, I think that we just continue ripping. Honestly, I think Tesla has one of those squeezer looks, especially again heading into the end of the year. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for to the upside. Is a close over this 246.89 level. But a break below rather would more than likely, I would love to see at least this 226.45 level. And I would only short if this trend decided to break and then there was some consolidation for a retest and then a rejection, right? That's what I would rather see before I take a short, especially on something that is as strong as Tesla that can open up $20 higher. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm looking for to the downside. I mean, these levels listed right here, 244.48, 239.25, 237.37, 233.31, 228, 226.52, and then, potentially we may see this 223 level. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for to the downside of that and to the upside. So that's Tesla. Now we're looking at a chip giant. That chip giant is Avgo. Avgo recently had earnings. They did pretty well. Wasn't too bad. And went absolutely IV crush mode and killed everybody who took any calls or puts. Friday, however, the day after their earnings, they absolutely ripped, right? We closed at 944.30, which is a massive move towards the upside. This stock likes to trade within a range as well, right? But the moves being more violent over the week, or over the course of 2 weeks, rather. So, with that being said, after their earnings, I would love to see this 940.65 hold and be retested. And even if we retest this 935.18 level, I would love to see that too, in order for continuation back to the upside. Again, the overall sentiment for me is bullish, so I'm looking for more upside, especially on a stock that can move $40 in one day. So the contracts are expensive. However, you buy a week out, then you only need to buy one. And with that, if you get the move that you want, it pays incredibly well. So this is kind of what I'm looking for, is a retest of this 940.65 or again that 935.18 in order to get to this 951.94, the 959.14, and then this 966.99. So we'll just call this 967. So that is a massive, jump from just breaking this 951.94 level. We end up seeing almost a $16 move to the upside. Now, above this 967, I would love to see some accumulation somewhere along these lines, rather, in order for us to have that continuation, right? Even though there has been a metric ton of it. There's been a ton of selling, ton of buying, holding specific levels, rejecting specific levels, all of that. But If we do end up breaking to the upside, maybe even above this 959, I would love to see some accumulation before we do end up going back and breaking into all-time highs, and obviously going further than that. So that's what I'm looking for to the upside. I mean, I would not discount a possible 980 before year end or early January. But below 921, or rather 918.62, I do think that we get a relatively good move down to this 913.03 level, and then this 908.62 level. This 903.02 level has been huge. This has been one of the biggest areas of support that Avgo has had, along with this 908 level, right? You could see that here we bounced again, but when we came through, we ended up coming down through it, right? We ended up breaking, 900, that psych level, in after hours during earnings, but that really did not mean much, as the sentiment again was still very bullish on the stock. So yeah, I mean, under this 903, then obviously we do end up seeing this 891, in my opinion. That's exactly where I would be shorting it down to. A fall through the psych level of 900 would inevitably bring us, down lower. I mean, it only makes sense. Maybe not to 891 right away. Maybe this 898 needs to hold as well. Maybe it needs to get retested. So there's a multitude of areas in which I'd look to either take the trade or take profit. But breaking down from 903.02 is where I would love to short to 900 regardless for a good $3 move. Why not? Why not take that short? It's a good trade. So yeah, that's kind of just what I'm looking for. I mean, nothing else really crazy. 930.16 can also get retested. This is also another level, or actually 929.71. So 930. I would love to see that level also get retested. Nonetheless, this is what I see to the upside, and all of these levels are what I see to the downside. Avgo is pretty straightforward when it comes to how it trades and the amount of strength it has while it is trading. So, yeah, that's Avgo. Another chip that we're looking at is SMCI, which, by the way, on Friday went absolutely fucking nuclear. Beautiful play, beautiful move to the upside. I mean, absolutely incredible, honestly, how well this thing can move when it wants to move. From what was open, this was open 252.86 all the way to a high of 274.31. We ended up having a $22 move on SMCI. So again, I've had this chart up before. I've posted this chart in a bunch of different places. Let me go to the 4-hour. I've posted this chart in a bunch of different places in order to get some feedback, and the results are conclusive. We need a break at this 282.16 in order for us to retest this 306.74. We can absolutely do that, and with some accumulation here, I believe that move comes sooner than later, especially with SMCI. Just randomly moves like it's nobody's business type thing. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's kind of what I'm looking for on SMCI. I'm looking for a break of this 282.16 in order for me to continuously take this trade through 287, and then 295. And then again, I would just love to see that 300 break go into that 306.74 break. And then from there, we could possibly test 320 at some point. So that's what I'm looking for to the upside. Now to the downside, I am looking under 262.77. And with that comes these specific levels: 254, 23. Below that, I would love to see 246.28. A 245 break would inevitably give us this 240.09 break, leading down to this 234, and then potentially seeing 228 area. And I don't think that we go all the way back down here. I just don't think that that's ever going to happen again. So that's kind of what I'd be looking for to the downside. It's very, highly unlikely that we do get a crazy move, below this 215. But regardless, nonetheless, these are those levels. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, is a break of this 282.16 in order for us to continue to around 290, and then a break of 300 for this 306.